Does Mirelin only wear Adidas tracksuits? Never seen him wear anything else. Do you want to hear a story about Mirelin? Oh my god. This won't go over so well, I think, because I have to explain who Mirelin is to all of the to all of the non-TF2 people. But okay, all right. So Mirelin was from Latvia. Mirelin was a guy from Latvia who was notorious as being one of the best medics in the scene. But he was mental, just utterly insane. Like, a crazy sense of humor, really nice guy, but kind of just totally out there. Didn't have much life experience as well. Was trying to learn English, but had a very funny way of speaking English. And yeah, it's so people didn't really want to like look after him, but he needed looking after. He was so oblivious and naive and unaware of how things worked when he was in the lands in the UK that he needed someone to kind of babysit him before he went back to his flight, because he booked the flight for the wrong day. And so one of my mates that was allowing me to stay over at his place because my car had broken down, which I'll tell you about another time, had agreed that me and Mirelin would go back to his place and stay there for a night. Mirelin's from Latvia and doesn't have that much experience with a bunch of shit that's very common in the UK and the US as well. For example, when Mirelin got into this guy's car for the first time, and this guy's a teacher, he's got like a fairly nice car, he spent a bit of money on it, but it's like a Mercedes or something, you know, it's not something crazy, it wasn't some kind of ultra sports car, it's just like quite a nice car. When Mirelin got in the car, he was like, oh, this is this fast, beautiful baby. This is how he speaks, is like this high tone and in this amazing accent. He's going, oh, this is a beautiful baby, stroking the dashboard. Calling the car his fast, beautiful baby. And then my mate Tom is like, okay, he's revving the engine, he's like playing into it a bit, he's like, yeah, Mirelin, you like it? And he's like, oh, it's a beautiful baby. And so we were driving around and Mirelin's just enamored with this car. He's trying to press the horn, he wants to rev it, he's like sat in the passenger seat losing his little mind. We get back to my mate Tom's house, and Mirelin's just kind of roaming around. He's like a child. He's got that kind of passion and zeal for life that children have, where they've got insane curiosity and everything is amazing. And so he's like, he opened the fridge, and he's like, oh, what is this? and he pulls raw bacon out of the fridge, just raw bacon. And he's just eating raw bacon, going, this ham is delicious. Well, and we realize, we turn around and we're like, no, Mirelin, no, you're not supposed to eat that raw. And he's like, got some bacon hanging out of his mouth, and is like, why? It's good. It's good ham. Like, no, Mirelin, no, that's raw pork, you moron. It's stop, don't do this. So then we took him to the pub. We just took him to a Wetherspoons to get a drink and to get some food and stuff. And he was like, oh, this is a nice English pub. It's nice. And then he's telling us about how he learns English. And he says his teacher is useless. He says his teacher, he's very loud and he doesn't understand social etiquette that well. But not in a way where he's like... Not in like an Asperger's way where he's just socially awkward or doesn't understand protocol and stuff. He just doesn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? He just will say what he's thinking about and be like a child. He's like a child. He'll just say whatever comes into his head. So he wanders in and we sat down and we're like, oh, Mirelin, how's your English coming along? Like, it's actually a lot better from the last time we talked to you. And he's like, my teacher is shit, and we're sat around all of these other families having dinner, and he's just going like, she's so shit, she doesn't care about anything, she's so fucking shit. And we're like, Mirelin, like, maybe calm down, Mirelin, calm down, like these are families around. But I don't think Mirelin realized that like shit was something that you're not supposed to say when you're in between a bunch of families. And so we calm him down from that. And we're like, give us some examples of like what's going on. And so he's like, oh, well, something I learned recently was like how to refer to people, you know, like what people's titles are. So like like, you are a teacher. And then he points to a family right next to us, right within earshot. He points at the man, points at him, and goes, "This is Mr. This is Mistress." And I lost it, dude. I lost it. He literally just points at this woman and says, "You're a mistress." And we were like, "Mirelin, no. The word is Mrs. or wife or partner or woman or whatever, but not mistress. Come on, dude. That's not what you're supposed to say." And this family is looking so awkward. And they didn't even laugh about it. They just don't understand why they're being called out by a Latvian in full Adidas tracksuit who is clearly has no idea what's going on in the world. Oh, that was so good. And then also, when we took him to the airport, he had too much baggage. I don't know how he got here from Latvia, honestly. But when we took him to the airport, again, he's crooning over the car, stroking the dashboard, calling it his fast, beautiful baby. When we get to the airport, he's got a bag and a backpack and a sleeping bag. And so we're like, "Mirelin, I don't know whether you'll be able to take all that with you, you know. How did you get here in the first place? Don't you want to try and cram your sleeping bag into your suitcase?" And he's like, "Oh, no, suitcase very full." We pull over and he gets out and we're on, like, you know, like the loading bay of an airport. It's like 9 p.m. It's dark and we're at the side of an airport. And he just opens his suitcase. Stuff flies everywhere. And he's like, "Look, it's full." And we're like, "Of course, okay, we would have believed you if you just said it was full. You don't have to show us." So he's cramming all of this stuff back into his suitcase just on the side of the road. Manages to close the suitcase again. But he's still got this sleeping bag. And so we're like, "Oh, do you want us to take the sleeping bag then? Maybe we'll make use of it." And he's like, No, it's fine. I got it." So he wanders down the road with his suitcase and with his sleeping bag kind of hooked over his shoulder and with his little backpack. And he pauses next to a bin. And he just shoves his sleeping bag into the public bin. He just takes the sleeping bag and shoves an entire sleeping bag into the bin. It was like... Oh, it was one of those bins as well where it doesn't have an open top. It's like got a closed top and it just has those slits around the side. So you really had to cram it in. It was like a letterbox. He was like shoving his entire sleeping bag into a letterbox. And then he just wandered off into the sunset. And that was the last time I ever met Mirelin. What a legend of a human. What an absolute legendary human being. Just put it in the bin. He just put it in the bin. What is this Mirelin video?
What?
Yes, this is a classic from Mirelin.
What's your... There's a delay, you piece of crap. What's your...
So the person saying "shut the fuck up, there's a delay, you piece of crap" is Cadus, who is the English guy, the team leader.
What?
Change again.
The guy saying "change again" is Zebasai.
What your girlfriend says when you smoke in a house.
And this is Mirelin, the person who asks, "What does girlfriend say when you smoke in the house?" That's Mirelin.
What?
Change again.
What's your...
Shut the fuck up, there's a delay, you piece of crap.
What your girlfriend says when you smoke in a house?
She says nothing at all.
Yeah, but doesn't she say like, "Oh, Jason, I cannot breathe with this air"?
She says exactly that.
This air.
Oh, Jason, I can't breathe this air.
Oh my god.
Did I say it wrong?
No. You
And then Mirelin doesn't know why people are laughing at him. That's the thing. Because at the end there he says, "Did I say it wrong?" Like, he's so childlike and innocent. Oh, it's so good. Oh, Jason is Cadus.
She says nothing at all.
Yeah, but doesn't she say like, "Oh, Jason, I cannot breathe with this air"?
"Oh, Jason, I cannot breathe with this air." And that's how he spoke the entire time. So when he's saying like, "Oh, my beautiful fast baby," that's that accent. So good.
She says